everybody, welcome back once again to John's Rockin' Vinyl 77. This time around I have some more really cool records to show. I saw there was a lot of really good feedback from my last video, so I thought I'd make kind of a similar video. I have a lot of the kind of, maybe not the most rare items, but some interesting and some kind of obscure artists maybe, that maybe you guys would want to, you know, either discover or, you know, maybe you'll be intrigued in seeing what other kind of music I'm into. It's in the hard rock, a lot of 70s hard rock and progressive and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm just going to start with this. This is the cheapest thing. Well, it wasn't the cheapest, but got it for $1. Zebra. It's their first album. The only problem with the cover is there's some water damage on the top. And for $1, and the vinyl being perfect condition, I wasn't gonna just leave it, you know, for that. So, yeah. And I actually recently saw these guys in concert. They were really good. Really enjoyed the show. They're a really good band. Randy Jackson, lead vocals, guitar. I mean, he's pretty much the visionary of the band. Everybody, if you've heard of them, you've probably heard of either "Tell Me What You Want" or "Who's Behind the Door." "Who's Behind the Door" is kind of famous. So I really dig this album. My dad kind of really got me into this group. He pretty much told me about it. I kind of knew about them, but I wasn't familiar with their full discography. My dad had the second album, so I never really heard this growing up. So this is actually really good. So hard rock. I mean, kind of like Led Zeppelin-ish. A little bit of Rush. It's kind of classic, kind of that classic, you know, 70s progressive hard rock kind of style. But it was released in 1983, a little bit later. It was on Atlantic too. I'm sure plenty of people know about that band. Anyway, let's get with some different things. Here's Trapeze. This album is called, I think it's just self-titled, yeah. This is a self-titled Trapeze album. This is one I didn't have. I had it's called Hot Wire, I think, or something like that. High Wire, something like that. I have it somewhere in my collection, but this is one that I didn't have. And this is another later album. Of course, still has the, you know, the rhythm section. It still has Dave Holland. And it still has Mel Galley on guitars. Dave Holland, of course, would go into Judas Priest later on. But anyway, after, this is basically that time period after Glenn Hughes left. And they kind of went on. So, this is a cool album. I haven't really dug real deep into it, but for $2, you know, grab it, why not, you know? And then we got classic. Kind of a classic to me. One of the Rainbow kind of fell off a little bit in the late 70s when Ronnie James Dio left, and they I can't even think of the album, but it's the one that has I can't even think of the singer, but it's not particularly a great album. They had a really big hit song. But this is kind of their comeback to me. This with Joe Lynn Turner on vocals. It's a freaking really good album. Straight Between the Eyes. Straight Between the Eyes. But cool album artwork too. And I got this for, again, a couple of bucks, you know. So I'm very happy with that. It's in pretty great shape. Not much to say about this. It has Stone Cold, of course. That was a big hit. Power is a good song. Death Alley Driver starts out, you know. This is a great album. I have it on CD too. I actually bought this because I wanted to have it on vinyl. I bought the CD like a German import or something not long ago. So that's pretty cool. What else have I got? I also have a kind of private AOR kind of thing. This is the last Roadmaster album before they were signed to a major label. This is called Sweet Music. This is, I believe, their third album. And this was the album that kind of signed them to they ended up being signed to, I believe, Mercury. Yeah, they were signed to Mercury. And this was actually reissued on Mercury, so this is an original pressing, which is a little bit harder to find. So, and it's just, you know, pretty typical kind of like AOR. The hit on this one is Higher, Higher, Higher. That's the one that a lot of people remember. They were a local, they were from, where are they from? I'm trying to remember. Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah. Yeah. They were kind of a big deal in Indiana. And that, and this is an original. I'll show you guys the label, so you guys know what it looks like. It's a little dirty. I didn't clean it. Roadmaster. It was on Village Records. Village. Pretty cool label. And this was a cool find up next. This is really, and this is what, not like I said, an AOR kind of thing. 70s rock, kind of underground. Here's a Boxer, Below the Belt. This is the U.S. pressing, not the the uncensored cover. This is actually a promo. If you look, it's got the white label promo, and it's got the gold stamp. You know. But I thought this was really neat. This is why I grabbed it. Came with this insert, this promo insert. I just thought that was really cool. And of course, Mike Patto on vocals. And this is on Virgin Records. Virgin. And I mean, this was like $1, you know? These guys were kind of a super group too. Anyway, up next I have another $1 find. This is $1. City Boy. Original U.S. Mercury pressing. This is kind of bridges the gap between like power pop, and it's somewhere between power pop and kind of reminds me of the Tubes a little bit. It's kind of got that kind of tongue-in-cheek, you know, kind of humor. It's a little bit humorous, but it's actually it's a really good rock album. It's got some rocky moments. There's some heavy guitar on it. It's not all weak. But it has the original insert that came with it, which is pretty tough to find. And of course on the Mercury Skyline label, pretty uncommon to see this album, especially their first album. I've never seen their first album, so I mean, for $1, you know, grab it and check it out. I wasn't really familiar with this band, and I was actually pretty surprised. It's actually a pretty good album. Let's see. Up next, I have another Mike Patto related album. Now, this is one that I knew about for a long time. I've actually been looking for one of these for forever, and they're always like $15 12 or 15 bucks, and I just never, you know, wanted to spend that much. And then I came across this copy. This is a Spooky Tooth, The Mirror. This is one of their later albums. This is actually, I believe, their last. And it has, kind of has a bit of kind of funky funk rock kind of thing. It kind of reminds me of some of the later, the Tommy Bolin era Deep Purple stuff. I would say that if you're into that Tommy Bolin era Deep Purple, that this is like right up your alley. It's got that kind of funky hard rock kind of thing going on, and Gary Wright's still in the band, and then Mike Pato, you know, on lead, knocks it out of the park, really, you know. This is actually a pretty solid album. Starts out really strong. First couple of songs are really good. And I definitely recommend you guys checking this out. Kind of has a little bit of Foreigner, that kind of, you know, that AOR kind of, it's on that Free, you know, Bad Company, that kind of stuff. It's got a little bit of that. It's got a little funk, you know, a little funk to it. Because it's from, what, 74, 73 or 74, something like that. It's on Island. This has the cover, it's, what do you call that? It's like a die cut. Yeah, it's like a die cut cover. And it is a little bit damaged, but, I mean, for $1, you know, I wasn't going to leave it as the original insert, you know. I guess I'll show you guys the label. Why not? It's on Island. If you're familiar with Island, the 70s Island label. A pretty cool label, got to admit. I'm very happy to have that in the collection. Being that it's kind of a rare album to find. They put it in the right way, right? Yeah. Spooky Tooth, The Mirror. Then up next, I have another one of those kind of AOR kind of rock albums. This is a little bit on that pop rock kind of thing, a little bit keyboardy. I would say it's somewhere between like the Foreigner's first album and Queen. It's somewhere in between that. It's kind of got that kind of I don't know, kind of English, I would say. It reminds me a little bit of I'm trying to think. Reminds me a little bit of the early Supertramp stuff, a little bit. Kind of has that kind of keyboard, melodic kind of thing going on. But this is a white label promo. It says right there. Not for sale. Promo copy. This is a band called Aviary. And I'm not quite sure where this group was out of. But this is actually quite a great album, actually. This is kind of highly sought after. A little bit collectible. And it is got a gold stamp too on the back. And again, for like $1, you know, I'm not gonna leave this. Whoops. Guess I'll show you guys the inner sleeve. White label promo, of course. And it's in like excellent condition. It's just really clean. I mean, for $1, you know. I've actually kind of been looking for, you know, some of this, you know, kind of off the radar, kind of 70s rock stuff. So this is what I'm looking for, you know. Up next, I have actually Uriah Heep related item. I've been showing a lot of Uriah Heep kind of stuff. So here's Rough Diamonds. This is David Byron's band after he left Uriah Heep. Like as soon as he left Uriah Heep, he formed this band pretty much. And it's like a super group. It's got Clem Clemson from Humble Pie. This is a really it's not the greatest album ever, but it's got some really good moments. I recommend, giving it a check, checking it out a little bit if you're into Uriah Heep, if you're a big fan, Inner sleeve. And this is on Island also. Island. Label. Again, another item to add to my Uriah Heep collection. Because I'm a pretty big Uriah Heep fan, so... I kind of want to have all the stuff with David Byron on it, so... There's another one to add to that collection. Up next, this is kind of a common album, not super rare, but it's not easy to find in this kind of condition. This is Iron Butterfly's Heavy. This is their debut album. This is the one that has Possessions on it, and it has the Iron Butterfly theme, which is kind of like the beginning of heavy metal in a lot of ways, because it's late 1967, early 68 when this came out. I can't remember exactly what the date was, but it was released. But it is an original stereo copy, and the vinyl's just like really clean. The vinyl's like really minty, really clean. I mean, it'd be hard to find a cleaner copy of this album. I mean, you gotta check out Iron Butterfly theme, because that's like this, that's the beginning of heavy metal to me. I mean, between Iron Butterfly and Steppenwolf and Vanilla Fudge, bands like that, they kind of invented that kind of harder edged rock and roll. So, gotta give credit where credit's due, That's a pretty good album. It's not the greatest album, but it has 3 or 4 really solid tracks that I enjoy a lot. And then there's some lighter stuff on here too. It starts off kind of heavy and it ends heavy. It ends extremely heavy. Like Iron Butterfly theme is probably one of the heaviest songs of that time period. I would almost say it might be heavier than it's almost like, it almost sounds like something that would have come out of the 90s, or it's like, it's kind of ahead of its time in a lot of ways. That's the wrong sleeve. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, let's see. I got Savoy Brown, A Step Further. I've had one of these before. The one that I had was really beat up. Well, it wasn't really beat up, but it just wasn't quite as nice. This one is like really clean. And the gatefold hasn't even been broken open. And again, a couple of bucks for this, I think I paid more for the other copy, And this thing is just like, check out the condition on this vinyl, man. It's really clean. Really nice copy. If it's Savoy Brown and it's clean, you gotta pick it up, For a good price. Definitely worth it. All day long to me. And then up next, I have a little progressive rock. Kind of a common one. Yes, Fragile. But this is an original first pressing, which you don't usually see very often. This is an original, so... And again, at like $2, And not even... I mean, the thing is that it comes with the original Roger Dean insert. It's freaking cool, I mean, I wasn't gonna not get that for $2, Original copy of that. Pretty cool, I would say. Has the Broadway labels on it, And everybody knows Fragile. I mean, I don't really have to explain that one, right? I also found it on CD like a couple of days after I found this on vinyl, so maybe it was meant to be, you know? So, there you go. Let's see. Get the booklet back in there. There we go. Okay, up next, I only got three more items. I almost said two, but I have here's a Dio Holy Diver. This is, of course, Ronnie James Dio's famous solo album after he spent a few years off, rounded up a really hot band. He was like hot off of, Black Sabbath. Rounded out a really, really awesome band. Vinny Appice, you know. Vivian Campbell, of course, you know, on guitar. And it's just a freaking awesome heavy metal album, you know. And I'm not really a big metal guy, but this is like classic, you know. You gotta have it. And of course, you know, for a couple of bucks, I'm gonna grab it. You know, I'm not gonna leave that behind. And then I've got the Zombies. This is like a total 180, right? The Zombies. She's Not There and Tell Her No, you know. This is their debut album, I think, at least for the US. And yeah. So it's a pretty nice copy. And again, you know, a couple of bucks for this. It's easy. I mean, this stuff's getting harder to find. I mean, especially this, for some reason this album's particularly rare. I don't know why. So on Parrot. The monos of this album sell for like 60 and 70 bucks, you know? So not an easy album to come by, really, it seems like. This is the stereo, of course, you know. Probably not as popular because it's probably rechanneled, right? So anyway, it's the Zombies for you with their one of their first albums. And then last but not least, this is kind of the rarest item that I found. This is one of those private kind of hard rock progressive things. This is a band called Polestar 1. And the album's called Flying Through the Universe. And this is quite a rare album. Privately pressed. And it's kind of highly desirable because it kind of sounds like, it's kind of like a heavier Pink Floyd. Kind of sounds like a little bit like the Animals era. You know, that kind of later, that Animals era of Pink Floyd. But a little bit more heavy. A little more, it's kind of interesting. I definitely recommend you guys checking this out and giving the title track a listen. And, I mean, it's like, you know, 80 bucks, $80, $100, something like that. And I got it for $1, you know, at Goodwill. So, it's the kind of stuff you find, you never know. You never know what you're going to find, you know. So, on Rascal Records. Anyway, that was just kind of a quick update to my YouTube channel. Thought I'd give you guys a little glimpse of some stuff that I picked up recently. These were kind of the cooler finds. I grabbed a couple other things, but this was like the coolest stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to show you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. See you guys. Peace.